she was rejected on a blind date. Humiliated, left alone in a crowded restaurant while everyone around her celebrated love. But then, a single father walked over to her table and asked her something that changed everything. In one evening, Ryan showed her what real connection felt like. He made her laugh. He made her hope. He even asked her to marry him someday. And for the first time in years, Lena believed that maybe love was possible after all. But just as she was ready to walk away with Ryan and start something new, Elliot came running back. The same man who'd stood her up just hours before, suddenly begging for a second chance. Now Lena stands in that parking lot, caught between two men and two completely different futures. The choice she makes in the next few seconds will change everything. But which path will she choose? If you haven't watched part 1 of this story, you'll want to check that out first. The link is in the description below. Before we continue, let us know in the comment section where in the world you're tuning in from. We love seeing how far our stories reach. And if this story speaks to you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Lena looked at Elliot standing there in the parking lot, breathing hard, his face flushed with what looked like genuine regret. Then she looked at Ryan, who'd gone very still beside her, his jaw tight, waiting. "Lena, please," Elliot said again. "Just give me 5 minutes. Let me explain." "I think you should go," Ryan said quietly, his voice controlled but firm. Elliot's eyes flashed. "I'm sorry. Who are you?" "Someone who actually showed up," Ryan replied. Lena felt her heart hammering. This was surreal. 2 hours ago, she'd been sitting alone, feeling like the most unlovable person in the world. Now 2 men were standing in front of her, both wanting her attention. "Elliot," Lena said carefully, "you stood me up. You sent me a text saying you were just trying to get your mom off your back. You humiliated me." I know I did, and I'm sorry. I panicked." Elliot ran his hand through his hair. "My mom has been on my case about settling down, and when she set up this blind date, I agreed just to shut her up. But then I started thinking about it, and I got scared, so I bailed. But I've been driving around all night, and I realized I made a huge mistake. You seem like an amazing person, and I threw that away because I was being a coward." "So you want points for realizing you were wrong?" Ryan asked, his tone sharp. Elliot ignored him, his eyes locked on Lena. "I want a chance to make it right. That's all. Just one real date. Let me show you who I actually am when I'm not being an idiot." Lena's mind was spinning. Part of her wanted to tell Elliot to leave, to walk away with Ryan and never look back. But another part of her, the part that had spent years being rejected and disappointed, wondered if maybe Elliot deserved a second chance. People made mistakes, right? People panicked. It didn't necessarily mean he was a bad person. "Lena," Ryan said softly, and when she looked at him, his eyes were sad. "You don't owe him anything. You know that, right?" "I know," she whispered. "But if you want to hear him out, I understand. I'll step back." Ryan's voice was steady, but she could hear the pain underneath. "I just want you to be happy, whatever that looks like." And that, more than anything Elliot had said, nearly broke her heart. Because Ryan wasn't fighting for her with aggression or demands. He was giving her space to choose. He was putting her needs before his own. "Can I think about it?" Lena asked, looking between them. Elliot's face fell slightly, but he nodded. "Yeah, of course. Can I at least give you my number? My real number, not the one my mom gave you." Lena hesitated, then pulled out her phone. Elliot rattled off his number, and she saved it without calling it. "Thank you," Elliot said. "I really am sorry, Lena. I hope you'll give me a chance to prove it." He glanced at Ryan one more time, then walked back toward the restaurant. The silence that followed felt heavy. Ryan stood there, hands in his pockets, looking at the ground. "I should go," Lena said quietly. "This is all a lot to process." Ryan looked up at her, and the vulnerability in his eyes made her chest ache. "For what it's worth, tonight meant something to me. Something real. But I'm not going to pressure you or tell you what to do. You have to figure out what you want." "Ryan, it's okay." He stepped closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes. "Just promise me you'll think about what we talked about in there, about taking chances, about not settling for less than what you deserve. I promise." Ryan smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. He reached out and gently squeezed her hand just once, and then he let go and walked toward his own car. Lena stood there alone in the parking lot, watching both men drive away in opposite directions. And she had no idea which one she was supposed to follow. She drove home in a daze, her mind replaying the entire evening on a loop. Ryan's kindness, his honesty, the way he'd shared his grief and his hope, the way he'd looked at her like she mattered. But then there was Elliot, who'd come back, who'd apologized, who'd admitted his mistake and asked for another chance. When she got home, she found Maya sitting on her couch, a bottle of wine already open. "I used the spare key," Maya said by way of greeting. "You texted me that you got stood up, and then you went radio silent for 3 hours. I was worried you'd done something dramatic, like joined a convent." Lena dropped her purse on the table and collapsed next to her best friend. "It's so much worse than that. Worse than a convent. Did you join a cult? I think I might be in love with a man I met 2 hours ago." Maya's eyes went wide. "Okay, you need to start from the beginning. Right now." So Lena told her everything. About sitting alone at the restaurant, feeling humiliated and defeated. About Ryan walking over and asking to join her. About their conversation, the connection, his proposal. And then about Elliot showing up in the parking lot. When she finished, Maya was staring at her with her mouth open. "So, let me get this straight," Maya said slowly. "The guy who stood you up came crawling back, and the amazing widower who proposed to you just let you walk away." "He didn't just let me walk away. He gave me space to choose." Which is somehow even more romantic. Maya poured them both more wine. "Okay, here's what I think. Elliot is a coward who only came back because his guilty conscience got the better of him. Ryan is a genuine, emotionally mature man who's dealt with real loss and knows what he wants. But what if Elliot really does deserve a second chance? What if he was just scared and made a mistake?" "Lena." Maya grabbed her hand. "You spent one evening with Ryan, and you felt more than you felt with anyone in years. That's not nothing. That's everything." Lena knew Maya was right. But there was a voice in the back of her head, small but persistent, that wondered if Ryan was too good to be true. If maybe his life was too complicated, too heavy with grief and responsibility. If maybe Elliot's simpler, lighter presence was actually what she needed. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Thank you for listening tonight. I know I don't deserve it, but I really would like to make this up to you. Dinner tomorrow? My treat. I promise I'll actually show up this time. Elliot." Before she could respond, another text came through. This one from Ryan. "Made it home. Mia's asking about the nice lady I met at dinner. I told her you were special. She says if you're special, I shouldn't let you go. Smart kid. Sleep well, Lena." Lena stared at both messages, her heart pulling in 2 different directions. Maya looked over her shoulder and whistled low. "Girl, you've got a choice to make." And the worst part was, Lena had no idea which choice was the right one. Lena said yes to both of them. It wasn't her proudest moment, but she couldn't bring herself to say no to either one. Not yet. Not until she figured out what she was actually feeling. She texted Elliot back first. "Okay, dinner tomorrow, but you get one shot at this." His response came immediately. "That's all I need. I'll pick you up at 7. Wear something nice." Then she stared at Ryan's message for a long time before finally typing, "Tell Mia she's very smart, and tell her I think you're pretty special too." Ryan's response took longer. "She wants to meet you. No pressure, but if you're free this week, maybe coffee? She's been asking me all about you since I got home." Lena's heart squeezed. A 5-year-old wanted to meet her. That felt significant, real, like stepping into something that mattered. "I'd love that," she typed back. Maya watched her with raised eyebrows. "Please tell me you're not going to date both of them." "I'm not dating either of them. I'm just exploring my options." "Lena, I know. But I need to be sure, Maya. What if I choose wrong? What if you're so busy trying not to choose wrong that you lose the right one?" That thought kept Lena up most of the night. The next evening, Elliot picked her up in a sleek black Mercedes. He was dressed in an expensive suit, his hair perfectly styled, and he held a bouquet of roses that probably cost more than her weekly grocery budget. "For you," he said with a smile that was all charm, as an apology for being the world's biggest idiot. "These are beautiful," Lena said, taking them. "Let me just put them in water." "We're running a bit behind," Elliot said, checking his watch. "Our reservation is for 7:30. Can you do it when we get back?" Lena hesitated, then nodded. She set the roses on her kitchen counter and grabbed her purse. Elliot took her to Giovanni's, an upscale Italian restaurant downtown where the cheapest entree cost $50. The maitre d' greeted Elliot by name and led them to a prime table by the window. "I come here a lot for business," Elliot explained as they sat down. "The veal is incredible." Throughout dinner, Elliot talked about his job in finance, about his condo in the nice part of town, about his recent trip to Cabo, about his plans to buy a vacation home in Aspen. He asked Lena about herself occasionally, but mostly in ways that circled back to him. "So, you're a kindergarten teacher? That's sweet. I couldn't do it. Dealing with kids all day would drive me crazy. I need intellectual stimulation, you know? That's why I love my job. Every day is a new challenge, a new deal to close." Lena smiled and nodded, but something felt off. The conversation felt like a performance, like Elliot was selling her something rather than getting to know her. When the check came, Elliot made a show of pulling out his platinum credit card. "Don't even think about it. Tonight's on me. It's the least I can do after what I put you through." On the drive back to her apartment, Elliot reached over and took her hand. "So, what do you think? Are we good? Can we do this again?" "It was a nice dinner," Lena said carefully. "Nice?" Elliot laughed. "Come on, Lena. That was more than nice. Giovanni's is one of the best restaurants in the city. I pulled strings to get us that table." "I appreciate it. I really do, but what?" Elliot's smile faded slightly. "Is this about that guy from last night? Ryan?" Lena didn't answer, which was answer enough. Elliot pulled up to her building and put the car in park. "Look, I get it. He swooped in when you were vulnerable, played the hero. But Lena, be realistic. The guy's a single dad with a dead wife. That's a lot of baggage. You really want to sign up for that?" The casual cruelty in his tone made Lena's stomach turn. "That's his life, Elliot. Not baggage. I'm just saying, you deserve better. You deserve someone who can actually focus on you, not someone who's going to be splitting his attention between you and his kid and his grief. Elliot reached over and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I can give you the life you deserve. No complications, no drama, just us. Lena pulled back slightly. I should go. Thank you for dinner. Elliot's jaw tightened, but he smiled. Think about what I said, okay? I'll call you tomorrow. Lena got out of the car and walked into her building, her mind reeling. The dinner had been expensive and elegant, but it had left her feeling empty, like she'd just sat through a business pitch rather than a date. She checked her phone. A text from Ryan, sent an hour ago. Mia drew you a picture at dinner tonight. It's a rainbow with 3 stick figures under it. She labeled them Daddy, me, and Lena. I told her it might be too soon for that, but she insisted. Kids, right? Anyway, hope your evening was good. Attached was a photo of the drawing. The 3 stick figures were holding hands, and there were hearts floating above their heads. Lena felt tears prick her eyes. She saved the photo immediately. Before she could second-guess herself, she called Ryan. He answered on the second ring. Hey, everything okay? Yeah, I saw Mia's drawing. It's beautiful. She spent 20 minutes on it. The rainbow had to be perfect. Ryan's voice was warm, gentle. She's really excited to meet you. She's already planning what she wants to show you. Apparently, you need to see her dinosaur collection. Lena laughed, and it felt good. Real. I'd love to see it. When are you free? Saturday. We could meet at the park near my house. There's a coffee shop nearby. Low pressure, I don't know. A chance for you to meet her, see if this is something you even want to pursue. I want to pursue it, Lena said before she could stop herself. Ryan was quiet for a moment. Yeah? Yeah. I've been thinking about what you said, about taking chances, about not settling. And I realized tonight that expensive restaurants and fancy cars don't mean anything if the person sitting across from you doesn't actually see you. Did something happen with Elliot? Nothing bad, just clarifying. Lena sat down on her couch, still holding her phone. He's not a bad person, but he's not the right person, not for me. And me? Lena smiled. I think you might be, which terrifies me, by the way. Ryan laughed softly. Welcome to the club. I've been terrified since the moment I walked over to your table. They talked for another hour, about everything and nothing. About Mia's favorite books and Lena's most chaotic classroom stories. About Ryan's job as a carpenter and Lena's dream of maybe writing children's books someday. About how strange and wonderful it was to feel so connected to someone she'd known for less than 48 hours. When they finally hung up, Lena felt lighter than she had all day. But at 2 a.m, her phone rang. It was Ryan, and his voice was panicked. Lena, I'm so sorry to call this late, but I'm at the hospital. Mia collapsed. She's been sick on and off for a few months, but tonight it got bad. They're running tests now, and His voice cracked. I don't know what to do. I'm scared. Lena was already grabbing her keys. Which hospital? St. Mary's. But you don't have to. I'm coming. Just hold on, okay? I'm coming. Lena found Ryan in the pediatric waiting room, sitting hunched forward with his head in his hands. He looked up when she approached, and the relief on his face nearly broke her. You came, he said, standing. Of course I came. Lena didn't hesitate. She walked straight into his arms and held him tight. What did the doctors say? They're still running tests. Her fever spiked to 104, and she was barely conscious when I brought her in. Ryan's voice was rough, exhausted. They mentioned possible infections, maybe something with her immune system. I don't know. They're keeping her overnight for observation. Can I see her? Ryan nodded. She's sleeping now, but yeah, come on. He led her down the hall to a small room where Mia lay in a hospital bed that looked far too big for her tiny frame. She was pale with dark circles under her eyes, hooked up to monitors that beeped softly in the quiet room. Lena felt her throat tighten. This little girl who'd drawn her a picture just hours ago, who'd labeled her as part of their family, looked so fragile. "Hey, baby," Ryan said softly, brushing Mia's hair back from her forehead. "Daddy's here, and I brought someone to meet you." Mia's eyes fluttered open. They were glassy with fever, but when she saw Lena, she smiled weakly. "Are you Lena?" "I am." Lena moved closer to the bed, her heart aching. "Your dad told me you drew me a picture. It was the most beautiful rainbow I've ever seen." "I made you part of our family," Mia said, her voice small and tired. "Is that okay?" Lena glanced at Ryan, who was watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Then she looked back at Mia and took her small hand. "That's more than okay, sweetheart. That's wonderful." Mia's smile grew a little wider. "Good. Because Daddy needs someone. He gets sad sometimes when he thinks I'm not looking." "Mia," Ryan said gently, but his voice was thick with emotion. "It's true." Mia looked at her father. "Mommy told you to be happy, remember? Before she went to heaven. She said you should find someone who makes you smile again." Ryan's eyes filled with tears. He nodded, unable to speak. "I think Lena makes you smile," Mia continued. Then she looked at Lena. "Do you like my daddy?" Lena felt tears streaming down her own face now. "I do, very much." "Then you should stay. We need you." A nurse came in then to check Mia's vitals, and Ryan stepped out into the hallway with Lena. He wiped his eyes roughly, trying to compose himself. "I'm sorry," he said. "I shouldn't have called you. This is too much, too fast. You don't need to be dealing with. Stop." Lena put her hand on his chest. "I'm exactly where I want to be. Do you hear me? This isn't too much. This is real. This is life. And I want to be here for it." Ryan stared at her. "You barely know us. I know enough. I know that your daughter is the bravest, sweetest little girl I've ever met. I know that you're a father who would do anything for her. I know that in 2 days, you've shown me more genuine care than most people have shown me in 2 years." Lena took a shaky breath. "And I know that when you called me tonight, scared and alone, my first instinct wasn't to run. It was to get here as fast as I could. That has to mean something." Ryan pulled her close, burying his face in her hair. "It means everything." They stayed at the hospital all night. Lena sat in the uncomfortable chair next to Ryan, their hands intertwined, while Mia slept. Around 4 a.m, a doctor came in with results. "It's a severe infection," the doctor explained. "Her immune system has been compromised, likely from stress and not enough rest. We've started her on antibiotics, and she should start feeling better within 24 hours. But she needs to take it easy for the next few weeks. No school, lots of fluids, plenty of rest." Ryan sagged with relief. "She's going to be okay?" "She's going to be fine. Kids are resilient." The doctor smiled. "She'll probably bounce back faster than you will." After the doctor left, Ryan turned to Lena. "I need to call my boss, take some time off. I can't leave her alone, and my neighbor can only do so much." "I'll help," Lena said immediately. "I have sick days saved up. Let me help you take care of her." "Lena, you don't have to do that." "I want to. Please let me do this." Ryan looked at her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Okay, thank you." Over the next 2 weeks, Lena became part of their routine. She'd come over after work, bringing groceries and homework for her own students to grade while Mia rested. She'd make dinner while Ryan tried to work from home, and they'd all eat together at the small kitchen table. Mia chattering about dinosaurs and princesses, despite still being tired. Elliot called twice during that time. Lena didn't answer. On his second voicemail, his tone had shifted from charming to annoyed. "I don't know what game you're playing, Lena, but I don't appreciate being ghosted. I thought we had something. Call me back if you're actually interested. Otherwise, I'm moving on." She deleted the message without a second thought. One evening, after Mia had fallen asleep on the couch during a movie, Ryan carried her to bed while Lena cleaned up their dinner dishes. When he came back, he found her staring out the kitchen window at the street below. "What are you thinking about?" he asked softly. "How different my life looks now than it did 3 weeks ago," Lena said. 3 weeks ago, I was sitting in that restaurant, convinced I was going to die alone. And now I'm here, doing dishes in your kitchen. And it feels more right than anything has felt in years. Ryan moved behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "I keep waiting for you to realize what you've gotten yourself into and run for the door." "I'm not running anywhere." Lena turned in his arms to face him. "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Ryan kissed her then, soft and slow, and it tasted like coming home. When Mia was finally feeling better, strong enough to go back to school, Ryan took Lena back to Carmichael's, the same restaurant where they'd met. He'd made a reservation for their original table, the one where Lena had sat alone that awful night. "This feels full circle," Lena said as they sat down. "That's the idea." Ryan reached across the table and took her hand. "I've been thinking about what you said that first night. About how you thought love wasn't in the cards for you. About how you felt like you were destined to be alone. I remember. You were wrong." Ryan's eyes were intense, serious. "You were never meant to be alone, Lena. You were meant to be exactly here, with me and Mia. You were meant to be part of our family." Lena's breath caught. Ryan stood up, and then he was kneeling beside the table, and Lena's heart stopped. "I know this is fast. I know we've only known each other a few weeks. But I also know that when you find something real, you don't let it go." Ryan pulled a small box from his pocket. "I've been carrying this around for 2 days, trying to figure out the perfect moment. But the truth is, every moment with you is perfect. So I'm just going to ask. Lena Martin, will you marry me? Will you be Mia's mom and my wife and the person we both come home to every single day?" Lena was crying now, full-on sobbing, not caring that people at other tables were watching. "Yes. God, yes." Ryan slipped the ring on her finger. A simple, beautiful band with a small diamond that caught the candlelight. Then he stood and kissed her, while the entire restaurant applauded. When they finally pulled apart, both of them laughing and crying at the same time, Lena looked around the room, at all the happy couples, at the place where her worst night had turned into the beginning of everything. "I can't believe this is real," she whispered. "It's real," Ryan promised. "We're real." And for the first time in her life, Lena believed it. 6 months later, they got married in a small ceremony at the park where Lena had first met Mia. Maya was her maid of honor. Mia was the flower girl, wearing a purple dress she'd picked out herself, scattering petals with dramatic flair. During the reception, Mia pulled Lena aside, looking very serious for a 6-year-old. "I have something to tell you," Mia said. "What's that, sweetheart?" "I knew you were going to be my new mommy the first time Daddy told me about you." He had this look on his face, the happy look. Mia smiled. "I told him not to mess it up." Lena laughed and pulled Mia into a hug. He didn't mess it up. He got it exactly right. That night, as Lena and Ryan danced under string lights in their backyard, surrounded by the people they loved, Lena thought about that awful blind date, about sitting alone in Carmichael's, certain that her story was ending. She'd been wrong. It hadn't been an ending at all. It had been the beginning of everything that mattered. Sometimes the worst moments of our lives are just the universe's way of clearing space for something better. Sometimes getting stood up on a blind date is actually the first step toward finding the person you were meant to find all along. And sometimes, love doesn't look like what you expected. It looks like a single dad with kind eyes and a sick daughter who draws rainbows. It looks like showing up at a hospital at 2 a.m. It looks like doing dishes in someone else's kitchen and feeling more at home than you've ever felt before. Lena had been looking for love in all the wrong places, with all the wrong people, for all the wrong reasons. But when she stopped looking, when she was at her absolute lowest, love found her anyway. And it was worth every single moment of heartbreak that came before it. What did you think of Lena and Ryan's story? Have you ever had a moment where something awful turned into something beautiful? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, make sure you like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Soul Story for more tales that remind us that love always finds a way. Because sometimes, the best love stories start with the worst dates.